segueing, I found myself telling the Josh Monica wedding punch through the wall story to my children.
To your children?
To my children the other day.
Okay,
all right.
So back up. How did it come around to that? Has everyone here heard it?
No.
Yes.
I
might have heard it.
From the
I think I've been around enough to have heard some of the crazy
This was
stories.
from the previous regime also.
Yeah. So we were at a mutual friend's wedding in West Virginia, Ian and myself.
Was it? I hate to be that guy. Was it Virginia or West Virginia? I don't remember.
So they are from
Not relevant to the story.
So they're from
me.
West Virginia, but they might have actually gotten married in Virginia.
Okay.
We were in both. We went
That's
through
true.
DC. I mean, we were there. I don't know
drove
where
through both
the
at
wedding
some
was.
point.
I actually think I punched the guy from Virginia to West Virginia. Yeah.
Back home to West
Were
Virginia.
the people getting married cousins?
No.
Probably Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, Virginia. So
Good question.
damn it, Kevin, what are you doing?
Nothing. This is a new house. I'm looking around.
Where's your keyboard? Can't you do?
No,
you can hit B and the screen will go black. Is it PowerPoint?
No, it's not a PowerPoint. It's a OneNote. You guys are jerks.
It's just a word dog.
Okay, so we're at the wedding. I had
It's
a couple of
winding
beers,
down.
but yeah, it's like 15 minutes before they're like, "Hey, we need everyone to leave now." And I had only had a couple of beers, but there was a gentleman there that had many. I'm telling you, I've told you this story before.
And the
There was a
bar-
gentleman there that had many more.
So the bar. Let me interject.
Yeah.
So the bar had changed over from like.
I had
there
no
was
idea. I don't know what
Do
you're
you
talking
remember
about.
this?
No, of course
There was
not.
a limit. So there was an open bar for a while, but then they were like, "We've reached the limit, so it's now a cash bar." I don't know what that point was. It was a time or a dollar.
Oh,
a
okay. So
dollar
like the
figure,
bride and groom say, "Hey, we're going to spend X amount of money," and then after
a
that,
grand or what? I don't know.
yeah, okay,
$50.
yeah. So after the $50 was gone, they were from here. We went there. I don't know.
Your money
the
goes
family-
further when you're over in the Appalachian Trail.
They were getting some ginseng, farming
So
it.
yeah, and I think okay, Brandon, take it.
All right,
take it
so
away.
we're at the wedding. Apparently, it just switched over to a cash bar, and this guy was really drunk. And I didn't know any of this story at the time, but what had happened is this guy was getting pretty handsy with this other guy, not like flirting with him. They were like starting to kind of shove a little bit. Ended up throwing a headbutt, and the guy that he headbutted was a Marine, an active Marine, not even like a retired. Like he was in the Marines at the time. Jason.
I thought it was the guy that did the wedding. That was the officiant of the wedding.
Yeah, that's coming.
Oh.
He started it with Jason Gramo.
Okay, yeah.
And so I didn't know any of that. But I looked up, and this drunk guy had his hands around the throat of the minister, of the wedding officiant.
Wow.
And who happened to be my wife's step brother-in-law at the time.
Yes. Okay.
So, and he's a small guy. Freddie, he's not big. He's probably 5'8", and the other guy wasn't huge, but he was bigger than Freddie, and so he had his hands around his throat. And I have always been bigger than average and can usually kind of defuse a situation like that. And it's just like, hey, you need to calm down. So I grabbed the guy, and I just kind of pushed him, not like, aggressively, but like, hey, you need to take a beat. And he put his hands around my throat. And so before I even knew what was happening, before I even knew what was happening, I gave him one of the knock the arms off with my left and an uppercut with my right, and maybe a jab, I don't know. And he went from the room that we were in through the wall and into the next room.
Yeah.
And
He diffused it right through the drywall.
and so
Like a cartoon.
I remember the bartenders and like the owner of the place. They were freaking out because it was like, do you remember this? It was their first time to host a wedding at that
it was.
venue.
And it was a who's gonna pay for the who's gonna pay for this, who's gonna fix this kind of
They were
deal.
flipping out.
Have we looked to see if they've hosted any more since?
I did.
Great idea.
So when I told this story to my children a couple weeks ago, I looked up Claire was her name. That was the drunk guy's fiance.
Okay.
And they're married.
Okay.
She went ahead and married this dude. He was a
Yeah,
total
because they're
jerk.
vows.
Well, they weren't married then. They're married now. They were fianced at the time.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
she went through with it. But apparently he was. This
Sickness
was
and
like
health,
his
better
Didn't
thing.
scare her
or
off.
worse.
So I found
just-
myself telling the kids this story,
Yeah.
and I told Kayla later, like you you have to be the better judgment there, because they haven't shut up about it since. Like, even little Faye is like, I'm going to punch you through the wall, you know? And
Like, yeah, there was a good sheet of drywall that needed replacing. It was,
yeah.
and I remember looking over from the bar getting a drink, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, Brandon just punched some. How did this devolve to this point? And then yeah, like the bartender and the owner that's behind the bar, they're freaking out. Like, we're never gonna host another wedding here. Like, this is it. We gave it a try, and this is what happened.
So Jason Gramo ended up paying for the damages, by the way.
Oh.
He was drunk too, and he didn't start it, but he escalated it. The Marine, he was like the best man, or at least a groomsman, and he escalated the situation, so he felt compelled. Me, I'm like, no way, I was saving the life of the minister. I'm not paying for anything, whatever. Sorry I ruined your wedding.
It was so
they were
weird
good
that
friends
the
of ours.
minister guy was in the middle of it too.
He was trying to break it up, I think.
He was a little odd too, in my opinion.
He's
I
a
don't
little
know.
hot-headed.
Yeah, that's the impression
so
I got.
he does a prison ministry.
Ah.
So he's a chaplain. He's not actually a minister. I don't know. Yeah. So he's a prison thing. So he's around the rougher guys.
So he's seen some shit. Yeah.
He's seen some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you feel about this for merchandise? Punch your low testosterone through the wall.
I like it. That could work.
Yeah, the video is playing back in my head, like that moment. It's insane. And then I think there was some heated, like, in the parking lot garage afterwards, like, oh, where's he at? Where's he at? Like,
Yeah.
I seem to remember that, like, the Jason guy was.
Yeah. He was running around, looking for him. This guy.
Stir up more
So
trouble.
the dude that went through the wall, he was jacked up. Like
Yeah.
his, at one point it was like, hey, we need to finish cleaning up this venue. And I looked down at this guy laying on the floor, and I was like, you see this? You see all, like, I did that. We should probably head on out.
Yeah,
It
there was a need to escape the situation before any.
Yeah.
But more trouble.
We went out to the parking garage, and he was getting cuffed, and he went to jail that night. But
Really?
nobody else- yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, definitely spent the night in the jail.
Sounds like a lot of testosterone.
I was on TRT for sure.
The sheriffs in this West Virginia town are listening to this episode right now.
Maybe.
We got him.
Been looking for that guy.
Let's go to West Louisiana. We got our guy.
So I found myself telling this story because I found myself in a situation where my adrenaline was pumping similar to the way that it was that night. And we came home from the girls' volleyball game on a Friday night, and I pulled into the driveway. And Leilani, a 16-year-old, looks out the window of the truck and says, I think they're trying to break into my car. And so I put the truck in, like, I glance, and I just see in my driveway, I see figures. So I throw stop the truck short of where I would normally park. I jump out, tell the family to go inside. I run around the side of the truck, and there's 3 men standing there. By this time, they see us, and they've made their way out to the bushes down, at the end of the, what was that?
I just pulled my keys out to lock my car.
So they're like by the bushes, almost to the street at this point, and I'm briskly walking towards them, and I'm, who are you? What are you doing? That kind of thing. And
Can I ask if you're carrying or?
no, I was not.
Oh.
I was not. No, I stopped because we take a lot of road trips and have younger kids. I don't keep it in the truck anymore. Usually, I'll take it with me, but not to a volleyball game.
Sure.
And I'm glad I wasn't, because they were all wearing hoodies with hoods up.
Right.
That should have been my first indicator, because that is a dumb teen thing to do. They were kids.
Yeah.
And so after I realized that they were teenagers, I'm still headed out to them. And, I'm 60 yards away from them probably at one point. So it's taken a bit. I'm not sprinting at them. I'm just trying to discern what's going on as I'm moving in their direction, ready to whoop the ass of 3 men that are breaking into my daughter's car.
Right.
And it turns out they were kids, and they were like, we're right across the street. And so they're like our friends, the neighbors. They weren't their children, but they were like staying over, and they were playing hide and go seek. They're 14. They're playing hide and go seek. They were hiding behind, beside.
Likely story.
Yeah. No. It's true. Like, I know these boys. They play football with Vince, my 13-year-old. So in my defense, one of them is the high school head coach's son. He's like 6'1". So when I thought they were grown men, I really thought they were grown men.
Fair, yeah.
But they pissed themselves, I'm sure, and it was, whatever. So I talked to their parents and was like, hey, this is what happened. If he says I was a little harsh, and he was like, well, Cooper didn't even tell me he shouldn't be over there playing hide and go seek at 14 years old. So
Yeah.
Dad,
That's where I was going for.
Dad, all he did was he told us that he punched the guy through a wall.
so within a day or two of that, I ended up talking to the kids about the wall punch situation, and probably shouldn't have.
Such a great story, though.